day 2 of summer in the city, but we can't get in yet because it's not open.
a lot of experience there right now. And the thing that I'm sort of struggling with the most at the moment is anxiety. So I might come across confident, but actually I'm terrified up here, really scared. So you might see me shaking a little bit, it's quite normal. So yeah, that's me. Oh, and the other thing is I'm very short. So you might not be able to see my legs right now. Some of you might have seen I've sat on my knees, so I'm the same height as everybody else. So yeah, that's me.
She's not joking, she is actually sitting on her knees. Well, I am Gary C. I've been on YouTube since 2006. That's all I have to say to that. Little clap. Wow, this is my second mental health panel. I came, not last year, the year before. It was very emotional. So last year I was like, can I really do this year? But this year I'm back. I suffer from depression, panic and anxiety, and it's lovely to see you all here today.
Right, so we're going to kick it off with a big question. Is there a stigma about being public about your mental health? Who wants to go first?
Okay, I'll go for that one. I have generally had quite positive feedback from being emotionally raw on YouTube. Most people are generally pretty positive. I have had quite a few people sort of on Twitter doing the I can't follow you anymore, you trigger me too much. And that's fine, like I totally respect that because I do sort of take a lot out of that. That being said, I did sort of see an interesting study the other day where the amount of prejudice that is out there really shocked me. Like, people who are depressed, over 50% of the population, wouldn't trust them with their kids. And that's just ridiculous. But yeah, so I think it is out there, but I've always generally found people to be pretty positive about it. But I don't know how that...
See, it varies for me because there's two elements to my life. I've got the online and the offline. So in my surrounding environment, it's been pretty negative. It's been hard to cope with. And online, because when I started vlogging, it was me just talking about my life. When it came to mental health, it was quite easy for me to talk about it. And the response was fantastic because you connect with people across the world. And then when I sort of came out of that period of being really, really mentally unwell, it was great. It was what was even better. But of course, life is a cycle, and you don't just get better and stay better. Sometimes you go down, and it's okay if you relapse. It's okay. People think you have to get better, and that's it. But it was really difficult the second time round when I dipped, because then everyone sort of predicted what would happen, and then people sort of started turning away from me straight away because they thought they knew where I was and stuff like that. It was hard. But I guess, and I think this is a big point, bringing it up quite early, with all of this, it sort of proves who your friends are and who cares and who sticks with you regardless of your battles. So it's, yeah, you get the negatives and the positives, but it's taught me who I can trust, if that makes sense. Got quiet. Sorry.
I felt like being a gay YouTuber in the early days was, for me at least, it was just, it was nothing. But at the time, coming out videos were a really important, like, momentous thing. These days, there seems to be more coming out videos and people are more open and more willing to share who they are and what they suffer from, or how they experience life. And I can't imagine in 2006, when us two first started, putting videos out like Becky did about my mental health, because she's been doing her mental health story on YouTube since the beginning. And you know, people say like the internet is like the Wild West, anything goes, and people can be brutal or people can be lovely. But in the early days, there was a lot of trolls. Now we have things like the blocking and we have like the filtering systems and stuff to take them out, but we didn't at the beginning. And I'm very lucky that my audience isn't to the point where I get a lot of outside traffic. I don't do clickbaity videos, or I don't do videos with tags that draw in traffic of people that have never really known me. I have a very clicky set of people, so I'm very protected and almost sheltered from it. So for me, discussing mental health issues, even if a video goes sort of somewhat viral or gets shared around, it's almost like they're cushioned they're not necessarily as raw as, say, Becky when she first started, because you were just vulnerable and raw.
It's so weird having you talk about me when I'm next to you. I'm like, hello.
Yeah. But it's true though, isn't it? When you first started, you were just raw.
I don't want to blow my own trumpet. I'm quite a confident person.
Yeah.
I think lots of people, when they are struggling, every barrier is down, whereas even then, I'm so grateful for the block button. That really helps, actually.
But the fact that you've got this far, and you've gone through the worst of the storm, because even the Twitch community came for you at one point.
That's like the disorder I have, trichotillomania.
Yeah, and I can never say it, so I'll just say short. I'm going to admit it, I can't even say it. The fact that a network of people that you thought would support you would come for you, like online and stuff. It's very difficult. Like, it's a very difficult thing to say. And the fact that you did a series as well. I couldn't do a series of mental health videos because it would just exhaust me. But in terms of the original question, I do think you are vulnerable still to this day, even if the climate has changed online since 2006. It has changed. The fact that we're in the mental health panel and it's rammed like this. Before, it took there to be a YouTube star like Tom Scar to be on the panel to make it rammed like this. And I think that says it all, really.
There's something I want to pick up on. We're talking about like the stigma about being public about your mental health, and I find it very interesting what you're saying, Gary, about being slightly cushioned. So like, even though you're putting yourself out there, it is sort of like a bit of a safe space. I do want to put this one to Becky, because a couple of your videos have gone viral to the point of like being picked up by BBC News. I think since I've known you, happened at least 3 times.
Yeah.
And so that is your mental health now going beyond this realm. Did you get backlash from that? Was there stigma? How did you manage it?
It was intense. So I've had a couple of viral videos. The last one that went viral was last year. It's had 16 million views, I think, something like that. It's terrifying. And it's a very visual video. I took a photo of myself every day for at the time it was seven years, and now I'm at 10 years in September. It's terrifying. But it showed my hair loss. It showed the fact that I went through periods of being suicidal. It was a bit intense. Again, I think when I posted the video, I was in a good place, so that helped. So when all the trolls came along and the hate and stuff, I was sort of prepared for it. And I guess doing this for so long and talking about all of this for so long and posting all these videos, you sort of build up a brick wall. You learn how to sort of cope with the haters. I think a couple of years ago, I'd read a hate comment and it would go to my soul. It would destroy me, and I would sit there crying, or I would really feel it. Whereas now I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just going to scroll down, I'm going to find something else that's really positive, because there's tons of people that are supportive. You always get drawn to the negativity. So I guess I just try to look towards the positive stuff.
I think this picks up on my next question. It's about to what extent does being a creator help your mental health? And it sounds like for you actually, by talking so openly about it online for such a long time, you've actually find you're not necessarily better at dealing with it. Like if you hadn't put yourself out there, maybe you wouldn't be able to deal with all that kind of stuff.
It's interesting because when it comes to when you post online, sometimes it's so beneficial, because all of a sudden you find yourself in a community and you're connecting with people that have the same things or similar things. They might not necessarily have the same thing, but they understand the pain you're going through. But there's other times where it kind of, I've posted things and I've later regretted it, or I've looked at things I've done in the past and like, goodness, I was so upset. And then because I was upset, that then happened, and those people got upset, and then I got even more upset. It's just a case of, I guess, living in the moment, and then the older you get, the more experience you have, you just find, you sort of learn, not what's acceptable, but for your own personal level, what works and what doesn't. I went on a bit of a tangent there.
That's all right.
So,
how has
it
helped you?
Well, sorry, if I can just carry on going on there. So, when I'm creating videos, I find that I can be emotionally raw in the moment, but I then can't necessarily, I generally can't edit those videos because I never have the control to go back and edit them. And I kind of need that buffer. It's like I need to have got slightly out of that dip to then actually post it and be ready to accept other people receiving it. I was wondering how much that actually affects you guys.
Also, I just want to point out, I didn't realize we'd be talking about me so much. I feel very rude right now. I'm so sorry.
And this is for Gary as well.
Of course, but I I'm sorry for that.
So yeah, Gary, so what extent do you think talking about mental health online has helped you?
Well, when I finished therapy a couple of years ago, I sort of set to almost bookmark my progress. I remember saying in a video, I finished therapy, I'm looking forward. And I said that I was going to start taking what I'd learned and the tools to manage my anxiety and depression. And then recently I went back into therapy, into cognitive behavioural therapy. So I've done a whole combination now. It's almost like there's like a checklist of all the different types of pills and magic things and therapies. I've done them all. I feel like I should get a medal. I feel like I've got the therapy of Pokemon Go. Like, it's like a special gift that I have. But cognitive behavioural therapy has been great. But I feel like making those videos, like saying I'm now in cognitive behavioural therapy, we'll see how it goes. I feel like making that, it's almost like it's making a notch, it's making a dent in the universe, that it's something to look back on and say, oh, this is how I was. And it's kind of nice to have that little time capsule to look back on, because in your worst moments or in your best moments, it can benefit you. Because obviously in your really bad moments, you don't want to look back when you're at your worst. But I can safely say that by posting my stories on the internet, things about myself, seeing other people comment, seeing other people interact, and say, oh, they felt this way too. Even if it's like a video that's saying keep going, or you're enough, or take care of yourself. I need to, like, right now, I'll be honest with you, right now I have a list of things in my phone from my therapist to survive somewhere in the city. At the top of the list, it says, how would it feel to be compassionate towards yourself? Last year I made myself physically ill at somewhere in the city. I didn't eat, I didn't drink any water. I went to people please, I didn't want to let people down because I don't do any other events. And I did so much meet and greeting and meeting people that I made myself physically ill and I couldn't function for 2 weeks after. This year, I'm fine. So far, so good. Because this year I had how would it feel to be compassionate towards yourself? And I think everyone in this room needs to ask themselves that. What would compassion towards yourself feel like? And I will make a video on it eventually, but you know me. It will come like the Disney mods, where they are. But it's going through the checklist of things. Am I hungry? Am I tired? Do I need to sit down? And it's being aware of that. So when I look back at those old videos now, I will see the fact that I didn't show any compassion towards myself. I forced myself to do this video, or I forced myself to go to this event because I was the fear of missing out. Didn't want to let people down. But you know what? Don't let yourselves down. That's the most important thing you can learn. If that's the only thing you take away from what I was going on about, don't let yourselves down. Be compassionate towards yourselves.
I think I didn't answer your questions. Okay,
Yeah.
have another go at it.
Go for it.
So you wanted to know how has mental health actually helped me on YouTube. So for me, being autistic has actually been very nice because it means I don't have much of the normal paranoia that other people have, and there's a detachment that allows me to just shrug off haters going, fine, like that's what they think. And as far as I understand, I'm pretty unique in that, so that has kind of helped. In regards to depression, that has generally just been really negative to productivity, because that's what depression does, and it's a pretty serious problem for me. I like to think it made me funnier. But that's, I mean, if you look at the vast majority of sort of stand-up comedians and professional comedians, they're all depressed. But
because you kind of gain a sense of humour about yourself.
I think it's because part of depression is about seeing everything in the world that's broken, and because you can see that, you can pick things apart in a way that you can't normally. Because depression is kind of like happiness blindness. It's like all of that sort of joy is just sort of just out of your view. and everything that's bad is all sort of in crystal clarity, and sort of being able to go, oh, here's what's wrong with that, and this is why this is the worst thing in the world, when everyone else thinks it's a happy thing, makes for good comedy.
Right, so I'm sure there are many people in the audience who are budding YouTubers and would love to start making videos, but maybe their mental health is holding them back. Obviously, you guys are people who talk about your mental health quite openly. What sort of advice would you give to that person who that's the one thing that's stopping them? They're worried about how their mental health will hold them back or affect their content.
Hi there. Well, the YouTube Summer in the City for day 2 is finished, and now we're at pub in the city at the Foxes at the XL. My sister's trying to get a drink in, and so's Dave.
Thank you for watching this SpydaLog. If you liked it, you can like it if you like. You can also share this on Twitter by clicking the click to tweet link in the description. Please also share with friends, family, work colleagues and acquaintances on social media. Please also check out my previous videos on the left and check out my recommendations at the bottom right of this audio title card. Please also consider subscribing to this channel by hitting the big red button on the top right if you aren't already. I will see you all in the next vlog.